Alright, now it is time to put a new set of Jamberry jams on. What I need to do is first prepare my nails. So what I did first is at the kitchen sink with a little bit of Dawn dish soap or grease cutting dish soap, I just washed my nails very well. You know, I just scrubbed them really well with a nail brush and helped get all the extra oils off my nails. So now that I have finished that, what I want to do is I want to take my cuticle pusher and I'm going to push back my cuticles. And what you want to be careful of too is sometimes there's a little bit of cuticle on the skin that you can't really see. So that is where you really want to be careful that you're pushing that back. So actually right here is a good example. I'm not sure if it'll focus, but on this little tiny sliver there's a little bit of cuticle that's kind of coming up on my nail, but it looks almost invisible to see because it doesn't look like the fleshy skin part. But it's still something that kind of gets in the way of your jams. So go ahead and push all that back. And when I do my daughter's nails, it takes me longer with them because their cuticles seem to grow over the nail very quickly. Okay. Now that my nails are prepped and they're ready to apply, I'm going to pick up my sheet and I'm going to find the right size for my nail. So here I'm going to start on my thumb. And what you can do is you can hold each one over the edge. And you want to look and see, is that going to fit? And this one, it looks like it would almost fit, but it's a little big because I'm afraid that some of the edge would touch my skin and we don't want that. So I'm going to size down another one and I'm going to look and I'm going to check. And it looks like this one will be a perfect size. So now that I know that this is a good fit, I hold it to my nail and I kind of push this rounded edge to where the cuticle is. And I gauge how long my fingernail is, and it comes about to this point here where my thumb is. And so I actually just cut that one out from there. Sometimes if you want to be careful, you can go a little bit further. I'm actually even going to trim my nails when I'm done, so it's okay if it's right at the edge, but I'm going to take this off to about here. And because I don't want to get oils on my jams, I'm going to use a pair of tweezers to pick these up, and then a pair of scissors to cut back where I was looking. So on designs with patterns on it, it's kind of easy because I knew whenever I looked at this one, if I put it kind of right here where these flowers ended, that was going to be the right spot. So I really like designs for that benefit. And I probably just cut that a little bit longer than I needed. Alright, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and pick this up. Be very careful to hold it actually here at the edge. Alright, so my nail's been prepped. I have used the alcohol to clean it off. The cuticles are all pushed back. Sometimes right before I put it on, I'll come in and I'll just push back a little bit more. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put it on before I heat it. And I take this edge and I tuck it underneath the cuticle where it's not touching the skin, but that's going to give me a little bit more wearing time because that means as it grows out, it's going to come out from under the cuticle. And here I'm just checking if I had it in a good spot. And it's good because it's coming down here on the edges. You can see a very tiny sliver of nail right here, which is fine, but that means it's going to not be touching my finger and it's not touching the cuticle, which means I'm going to get a watertight bond. And here I'm just going to push it down. So I was trying to be careful to cut it about the right size, but if I turn it over, I cut it way longer than I needed to. So next time I'll try to be a little more mindful of that. So since it's a lot longer than I need, I'm going to trim it before I heat it, just because it's easier for me to do it that way. And you can actually save these little bits if you want to do something on your toes later. These little pieces are great for pedicures. Like, that's one of my little toes because they're always so short. Alright, so now that we've stuck it on, we're going to want to apply heat. And I'm going to show you 3 ways that we can do this. My favorite method is to use a little rice pack. I made these up. If I use this and I'm going to push down, so what that's going to do is it's going to add heat and pressure at the same time, and that's what we need with our jams, is heat and pressure. So I'm just going to hold this on here, and I'm going to push down, but it's the heat from this that's helping. Okay? If you do not have rice packs. That's fine. You can use the Jamberry heater. You know, you can turn this on. It's nice and quiet easily. You know, and I'll hold my nail in front of it for a little bit until it gets really warm. So that's another option. Or you can take a hair dryer and simply blow dry the nail for a few seconds. Once I have done that, I'm going to trim my fingernail a little bit. My nails are actually getting a little bit longer than I'm comfortable with, so I'm going to go ahead and just trim them back. I find this easier to do when you've added your jams instead of doing it first before putting them on. So there. That's just a little bit. And now that they're trimmed, this is the baggy method. I have a piece of plastic here. It's just plastic saran wrap that I folded over on itself probably 3 times to make it a little bit thicker. You can also use like a zip top baggie if you want. But I'm just going to wrap this here around my finger. And I'm really pulling down so it's pulling the wrap over the edge. And it's going to give me a really nice seal. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little heating pad and I'm just going to hold it here. And I'm pushing down and also using the heat to seal it on my nail. You know, these are nice. You can warm these up in the microwave if you want, or what I have over here on the side, which you probably can't see, is a little tiny, like a mini crock pot, and I just put it in there so it stays warm in between each nail application. I like the small size because I can just put it right here on my nail. It's really great when working with kids because I'm not putting the hot heating pad on their fingers and warming up their hands. Alright, so it looks like that is good. So what I'm going to want to do now, the next thing I'm going to do is take my file and I'm going to file straight down to clear the edges off. But because this is still really warm, I'm going to go ahead and do another fingernail right now, and I'm going to give this time to cool off and let that adhesive set before I file it. Alright, so I put a couple nails on, and I'm going to show, again, how to do our sparkle wraps. This also is the same application if you're doing the metallic ones, anything that have the shiny metallic look to them. These are a little bit thicker, and they need a little more heat to get a good application. One thing I really love about these sparkle wraps, you know, they have the nice glitter. They're completely smooth like all of our wraps, so it's not like a glitter nail polish where you get the textured bumps. And I definitely like that, so there's no snagging on anything while you're wearing them. Alright, so I'm going to put it on this finger here, and I know this one's going to fit because I did my other hand already. I'm going to judge how long I need it because I like to, you know, I like to save as much of my wraps as possible because whatever extra is left over I can do another nail or I can do on my toenails later. So it looks like I'm going to need about this much. I'm going to lift it up and cut it about there. See me work on my left hand, which is a little more challenging. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab it. And what I want to do first is I am going to add some heat first. So again, you can either use a little Jamberry heater for this, or going to add the hair dryer. Just add a little bit of heat. And you just want enough that it starts to curl a little bit. Okay, so you can see how the edge has started to curl up just a little bit. And now I'm going to apply it to my nail. Okay, let me get my pusher, tuck in here under my nail, and pushing down. Looks like I did pretty good. First try. Sometimes, you know, if it's a little crooked, you can lift it up and adjust it, but this one's pretty good. So now I'm going to add a little bit more heat, and you want a lot of heat and a lot of pressure when you're doing the sparkle or the metallic wraps. Again, because they're just a little bit thicker than our usual ones, they take a little more to get them adhered well. But once you get them on, they stick just as well as all of our other ones. And they are beautiful. I think it is the sparkle wraps that really got my attention with Jamberry. So you can see it's pulled down. It's even, you can see here where the edge of my fingernail is, you can see how it's really sticking to it with the heat. I'm going to go ahead and use my clippers and clip it back a little bit. You can either clip just to the edge of your nail, Or my nails are a little bit longer than I want, so it's easier for me to just trim them down a little bit after I've applied my jams. I like to keep my nails kind of short. It's easier for me since I'm still learning to live with longer fingernails. So now that I have it trimmed, I'm going to use a plastic baggie or a piece of plastic. I'm going to wrap around the edge. I'm going to hold it in front of the heat or your hair dryer for 3 to 5 seconds. Maybe even a little bit longer actually. I actually sat here and counted. I basically hold it until it gets a little too hot to hold it there. Okay, there we go. And one more time, I'm going to go ahead and push down because I want to make sure these are not coming off. Alright. Okay, now I have all of my nails applied. I did this hand. I actually stopped in the middle and I had to go make breakfast for my children and came back. One thing I absolutely love about Jamberries, it means, you know, there's no nail polish drying. I could get up and help children in the middle of what I'm doing. So now that my nails are completely cool, you know, these have been done at least for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes now, I'm going to come back and I'm going to file straight down. So mostly because I've clipped most of my nails, there's not a lot of edges hanging off, but I want to make sure there's no little jagged edges that are going to come up, no little wrap that's just sticking out, you know, being sticky to catch on something. You know, you can kind of feel around. Most of these I ended up trimming my nails after the fact, so they're pretty good, but I'm just going to go ahead, and when you file straight down, that's going to help pull off and tear off and file off whatever edge of the wrap off the edge of the nail. Okay? Same with these. Doing the same thing, I'm just going to file straight down. You know, again, I mentioned if your nails are too short to file down, then you're just going to trim them very, very close to the nail, as close as you can get, either with your little scissors or with nippers, and then use your plastic baggie method to seal off the edges. You know, before I started using Jamberries, I was a nail biter, so that was what I had to do whenever I first put them on, and even this one here is a little bit short. So you can see it's kind of a little bit of edge. You can see it's coming off when I'll file straight down. But it's a little bit harder to reach this one because my nail is so short. So I'm pulling my finger back out of the way as much as I can, but it's a little short to reach. So when they're that really, really short and you can't file down, you just trim it, use your plastic baggie, seal the edges. And as your nails are starting to grow out, you might need to come back and trim them a little bit more or use a little file on them if you're finding they're starting to catch on the edge. I think I only had that happen with like 1 or 2 nails. Most of them didn't have that issue. But again, you're filing straight down. Do not file side to side because that's just going to catch and start to tear the top edge. All we're wanting to do is tear off anything, any extra bit of wrap that is hanging off the edge of your nail. So, see? I like to go over, see how they feel, make sure there's no edges here. I saw a little bit sticking off, so I got that. I'm going to file that little piece one more time, but otherwise, there we go.